Adam, thank you for jumping on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Guys, welcome back to the Brotherhood podcast. Today we are with my good friend Adam Murray, the owner and founder of Biddos Street Food and many other amazing companies and endeavors in Drogheda. So, man, as I said, thank you for jumping on. If anyone didn't know, and I'm sure there are lots of people who know who you are by now, you know, what is your purpose in life?
My purpose, it's a great question, a deep one to start. Where do I start? My purpose is probably to make Drogheda better. That's kind of where my passion lies. Originally, my passion was to get as rich as possible, and of course it still is, but it's to serve my community, to build a better life for my family, to build a better life for my friends, and to build a better life for the town. Drogheda is probably one of the only towns that's actually degressed the past 40 years from when my parents were growing up and when your parents were growing up as well. And look, it's the biggest town in the country, and I think has a long way to go to be the best town.
I completely agree, man. And I think like there is a shift culturally, because I suppose even from when I've noticed coming here is initially, I think I said on the last podcast, maybe I had this misconception that there would be a lack of people with a more open and progressive mindset. But I've been pleasantly surprised, because obviously there's a lot of lads around our age actually doing stuff. And I think, what does Tony Robbins often say? It's like, good times create weak people create bad times create strong people create good times. It's like this natural evolution that's popping up.
Yeah, 100%. It is like the town is decimate, and that's how Biddos started, you know what I mean? I was on a J1 in San Francisco, and this is just down to like the basic level. Like, I saw Mexican food everywhere on my walk to work every day along the pier, and the food was great and it was fresh, and I just always thought Drogheda had at that time absolutely nothing like it. I was like, if I can bring something to Drogheda that Drogheda doesn't have, I'm already fulfilling a small bit of my purpose. So literally like 18 months later, Biddos Street Food was born, and since then we've been able to give back to the community. On Easter Sunday, in my opinion, we've done more than any single politician. We organised an Easter egg hunt with €4,000 in free vouchers for local businesses. We got 35 people out doing an Easter egg hunt. We've done giveaways. We've done cheap taco nights. We've fed the homeless. I've collaborated with Jamie Duffy to do a couple different events as well. And it's all about making the community better. And there is people out there who are willing to make it better. Like, I was in Machu Picchu. I think it's a fantastic place, but it's only 600 years old, and gets tourists from all over the world going to it. Drogheda has Newgrange right there, older than the pyramids, might I add, 6,000 years old. And I'm telling you for a fact, there is no tourists in Drogheda going to Newgrange, and in my opinion, that is crazy. It's ridiculous. This town should be built around the fact that Newgrange is 20 minutes out the road. I'm a loud man. I don't mind the fact that Newgrange is in Meath. Like, we need tourists. Drogheda should be, hopping with tourists, and it's not. But as I say, from the bottom you can only rise, and that's where Drogheda is at the moment, and I'm going to make sure that we get it to where it needs to be.
I love it, man, and I am 100% ready to jump on that mission too, because for many who do or don't know, I was born here. I obviously went off and went on a full adventure in Australia, but came back, and yeah, man, I think that there's so much rich history. The more I'm researching about this place, like even about the River Boyne and a lot of Celtic traditions, and I think there's a lot of people who are starting to tap back into that stuff and remembering. It's like, okay, how did our people live before these hardships, and finding, it's like, how can I combine these sort of ancient ways with modern ways and bringing it forward? And I think, as you're saying there, it's like people of this day leveraging how much rich history there is here and putting it on the map. And I think that comes back to is the people of Drogheda really first investing in the community and then investing in the facilities, and just spaces like this being created to share stories.
Yeah, no, 100%. And if I want to get myself cancelled from the start of this podcast, I think Drogheda needs its own borough council. I think that's extremely important to highlight these kind of points. Like, Louth as a whole has more historical sites per square metre than any other county in the country. And what's really killing Drogheda at the moment, in my opinion, one of the things is the fact that it's kind of split, 80% in Louth, 20% in Meath, Drogheda had a dedicated council that put full focus and emphasis on the town to share the stories, to share the absolutely unbelievable history that the town has, and get to our stand, we'd be in a much better place. Like just this weekend alone, I actually had an Irish guy over in Australia who says people watch my videos over there, and when he came back for a family reunion, he came and got food from me. Like we get people down from Dublin, Newry, Kildare. There needs to be more businesses and events and activities that get people to travel to Drogheda, and it's in the most ideal spot in the country. Like you're 45 minutes from Dublin, half an hour from Dublin Airport, you're an hour from Belfast, you're right there along the commuter belt. It's so easy to get to, and
there's beaches as well.
There's beaches out in Clogherhead, Termon Feckin, Laytown. Like it is prime location. Like there's buses, there's trains. It's so accessible, and we just need more people in the town. Yeah, so it's there's a lot that can be done, and I'm looking forward to making sure we make something happen.
I love it, bro. I love it. So obviously that's a real emphasis on the purpose side of things. For people to get to know you a bit more, what was Adam's origin story before Biddos?
I am going to take you way back here, so bear with me.
10,000 years ago.
Yeah, literally. I'm getting old now, so it all started, I'd say, nearly 10 years ago, right? So 10 years ago, literally just gone, my nana died. My nana Biddo, who the trailer's named after, and she played a huge role in my life. But my life was, obviously I was only 15, completely different back then. You know, at 15 I was 16 and a half stone, and I was never conscious about my weight, but I've always been comfortable in who I am. And we were eating, you know, takeaways every single day, just as my nana was dying, for about a week. And it was the first time I said in my life, I am fed up of takeaways. And I was over at my cousin's house, and the YouTube algorithm, like the gods, put on my timeline a video of a guy unboxing gym wear. It was gym tank tops, and I actually think it might have been Gymshark, if they want to sponsor me back then.
Ben Francis, honey.
Yeah, please, Ben Francis. But and I was like, I want to wear that. And I mean, it was literally the click of a light bulb. And I was like, I'm going to start going to the gym, and I'm going to change my life. And it's exactly what happened. I remember I went to Drogheda Grammar School, and I was coming back from school on top of the double-decker bus, and I was telling my friends at the time, this time next year I'm going to be completely unrecognisable. Nobody believed me. Not one person. Why would they? Because I never lost weight in my life before. Now, I never tried. But that was March 7th, and then the following September, we go back to school. No one recognised me. I was like a completely different person. I lost, I think by that stage, 4 stone. And then eventually I went and lost 5 stone. And it was a full mindset change. I was drinking 2 litres of black coffee a day. I stopped eating sweets. Like I haven't eaten a sweet in 10 years. I stopped eating bread. I had this thing called a 600 calorie feast. But I was never suffering doing it. I loved it. And that's the same, you know, when people see me working out, they're like, how do you enjoy that? But I am just, when I set my mind to something, the most determined person you'll ever meet to make it happen. And from then, I always had that, you know, burning desire to be better. And then I kind of got into the reselling business. I was reselling sweets in my locker in fifth year. I was making, you know, 150, 200 euro profit a day. I had an empire going on. I was like double
you
lockers.
Them, but you were selling
I was selling them. You never get high on your own supplies, they say. But like, man, I was carrying, you know, 3-4 deals bags into school every day. I was renting lockers off other people for Kinder Buenos. Then I started reselling clothes. Like Supreme was massive at the time. I was probably the only person ever to get a Supreme box logo hoodie on a phone. Got that for whatever it was, 140, 150 euro. Sold it for 680 euro to a guy in Scotland. Yeezys, Pharrell Williams NMDs. I was massive on Depop. And then people don't like this, but I started becoming a ticket tout, reselling concert tickets, Longitude, Electric Picnic, Ariana Grande, you name it. I was buying and selling, and just through Snapchat.
Yeah.
And then I went off to college, and the side hustle business actually, they just went on the back burner for me. And I'm not too sure why, but I done business in college. I was very focused on it. And then I came home from the J1 that I went on. It was probably one of the best experiences in my life. And I got into an electrical wholesale job, completely outside my comfort zone, doing sales. And I said, it was mundane. I couldn't wait for 11 o'clock for break. I couldn't wait for 1 o'clock for lunch. I couldn't wait for 5 o'clock to go home. And like once a month I had to do a Saturday for like 3 hours, and I dread doing that. And I was like, this is no way to live my life. I was 23 at the time. I was like, if you asked me at 17 where I'd be at 23, I would tell you a millionaire. I was like, I'm earning 30 grand a year, and I was doing 200 grand a month in sales. Why am I earning, it was 2.5, 3 grand a month? I need to do something more than this. So I decided that, right, we need to set up a business here. Now, in hindsight, a service-based business that cost nothing to set up, or going online and e-com probably would have been a better shout. But for some reason, I had the food truck idea in my head, and I was like, this is probably one of the cheapest businesses I can start, that I soon found out. It's actually
It's
not
also
that
like
cheap.
you're in the community. You know what I mean? It got you into the community.
Well, I always felt at the time that like I could sell, but face to face. I'd never done any videos on social media, so the food truck was a better suited fit for me at the time.
Yeah, correct.
And then over time, we've actually got good at the social media, I'd like to think.
Yeah, but it's like, as we said, I think here the culture is and it's perfect because it's you built that in-person connection, you're adding back to the community. Then the social media has so much more frame because so many more people in the community know you from that interpersonal connection, and then the social media is confirmation of that.
Yeah, and that's one thing, actually, kind of touching on what you said there. Like, I am exactly the same person in real life as I am in social media.
Correct.
So I think it helps people endear to the fact that I don't turn it up or turn it down. I am the same person. So if you see me online, you come down the trailer, you'll be like, he's the exact same. So it's super important, that to me.
Correct.
And then even where did we go after that? Like, we got the food trailer set up, and I thought it was going to be a far easier endeavor than what it was. And we actually started it under another brand name, and we ran with the other brand name for 8 to 9 months. It was under franchise, and I thought it was better to rebrand to something that aligned with me. And then the name Biddos, when I was thinking of a new name, I couldn't think of a better suited name. So Biddos is my nana's nickname. Breeding Finnegan is a real name. And before I was born, she had a small catering company in Drogheda. Always emphasised on, looking after the less fortunate, the homeless on Christmas Day. My granddad was a barman in Peggy Moore's pub for 60 years, and she'd always bring food in there. And I wanted a name that resonated with me, and something that I could, continue on a legacy and a brand, and something I could get behind, and that becomes our purpose. And that's why the name Biddo stuck. But for everyone who calls me Biddo, that is not my name. I am Adam. Biddo is my nana, and that's why it's called Biddos Street Food.
Love it, man. Love it. And, moving forward, and obviously the journey of building that, because, I suppose there's a lot of people who sit here and maybe they sit with these ideas, right? But they don't necessarily take action on them because it can be out of fear. It can be what other people think. And I was actually speaking about this with Jamie. Culturally, right? I think here it can be hard for a lot of people to break out of that community mindset or tribal mindset, where if I act different from the tribe, it could mean, well, in ancient times, it would mean I'd be casted out, which would mean death, right? And a lot of people then fear too, because what I've seen culturally here is obviously everyone knows each other and they know each other's family. So the idea of putting one wrong foot, people feel that it can send a whole chain reaction on the perspective on someone's whole family lineage, So for you, obviously living in that, I mean, it's very easy for me to put approach on me, but again, I lived out of that culture for a long time. For you, what would you say to someone who maybe feels called to do something great, but they're fearing what the tribe or what people will think of them?
Embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. 100%. Like, that's the beauty of me. Like, I was 15 and I was 16 and a half stone. There were so many things that you could have picked fun at me for. I didn't care. I've never, ever in my life asked my family or friends, cared what other people thought. Yeah. And that's probably my superpower. The fact that I knew when I posted videos. It's even now, people slag me all the time. I get comments and people saying X, Y, and Z. But they're all living lives that I wouldn't want to live.
Correct.
Like, the only people, and I promise you, who are going to be in your comment section, are going to be slagging you, are the people who don't live the life you want to live. I know for a fact, if I want to be like Christian Guzman, David Fogarty, Alex Hormozy, they're not hating in my comment section. They're not hating in anyone's comment section because they have better things to do with their life. So the only people who are going to hate on you are the people who are not where you want to be. And it's as simple as that. Like, and also, to not be normal, you have to do non-normal things. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. I could have stuck with a job and stayed comfortable and earned, the 30 grand a year. But would I have been fulfilled in life? And I know, without doubt, I wouldn't have been. And once again, like, I've done loads of things that have failed along the way. We set up in another kitchen there. There was different issues with that. We were only there 6 weeks, and I knew I was going to get a grilling and people laugh at it. But I'd prefer not to live life with regret and know that I gave that opportunity a go. And there's going to be other opportunities that come up that I give go that will fail. But I've also succeeded far more times than people are ever afraid to give it a go the first time around. And it is as simple as that. Like, you will never, ever in your life do anything without failing. And failing makes the wins so, so much better. If it was easy from the start, you wouldn't appreciate it. And so I know that the more fails I get, the closer I am to wins.
Correct.
Like, for those of you who don't know, I'm currently pitching a seasoning brand that we're releasing. I pitched to Aldi a couple of weeks ago. I'm pitching to a few more major retailers. If I get rejected, that's fine, because we are going to get accepted by someone, and people will buy into the brand. And there is no what's the best way of putting it? It's not going to be easy. But I wasn't afraid. Like, I was contemplating posting the video, letting people know that we were going to pitch to Aldi. I was like, should I wait till we get approved or just forget about it if we don't get approved? But I was like, I've made it my goal on social media to be as open and honest about being a business owner and show people it's not easy. So I was like, post the video.
Yeah.
Let them know before that I'm going to pitch Aldi. Let them know the day I pitched. Let them know how I got on. Let them know how I'm feeling about it. And when Aldi get back to me, whether I got it or not, I'm going to tell the people. And you have to be real, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here with you today. I wouldn't be on, the billboards for DKIT. I wouldn't have, what I like to call, hopefully, a successful business. And I wouldn't have been in the Irish Independent or whatever a number of times. Like, I would still be working the exact same job. So if you don't put yourself out there, you'll never get to where you want to be.
I completely agree, man. And I think, the more we can have people, like us and document the journey, the more it shifts that culture, because it gives people the permission slip. It's like, well, hey, if he can document that journey and that's it. And you put something so true there where, like, my perspective is there's no such thing as failure. There's only lessons. And it's just you gain an XP, right? And you realize, okay, I don't go down that dark alleyway. There's a fucking dragon down there. You know what I mean? But you don't know. You don't know unless you do it. And so true. Like, the greatest insight I ever had was, if someone judges me, it tells me more about how they're feeling than me. So it tells you what world they're living in, because if they're taking the time out of their day to throw hate, it's like I generally then feel compassion. I'm like, wow, how terrible must you be feeling internally to spend your day to throw hate and comment at someone who's actually trying, not even trying, but doing. And then it's like, I hope that person finds the strength to stop putting focus externally, go internally. And you'll always only reflect back to someone who didn't have the courage to take action on their dreams.
And even just to touch on that as well, like, people message me all the time, Adam, I have this business idea in X, Y, and Z, and a lot of them never even go into it.
Yeah.
And like, for me, you will never be the finished product ever, but especially when you start. This is why in jiu-jitsu and martial arts and everything, you start with a white belt and you work towards your black belt. Like, I was a 23-year-old white Irish guy from Monaster Boys trying to sell Mexican food with no culinary experience to the broader public. That sounds absolutely insane, but you can't expect to be good from the start. And that's with everything. Like, I'm going to launch this seasonal brand and we're going to go into e-commerce and sell online. I haven't sold a physical product like that online. I'm going to be crap to start.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of building the website for it. The website is crap at the moment, but it will get good. And that's the only way you can get good, by putting in the reps. Like, people told me at the start to quit doing the social media because the videos were crap and it just sounds like I was reeling off my opening hours. And it's because I was. And like, you don't get good until you do it a lot. Like, it's my favorite saying is volume negates look. Without doubt, if you put in the reps, you put in the work, you will win. Like, Alex Ramosi, who I reference a lot, has a story about how there's a college professor and he has two different groups of students, and their one assignment for the whole course, the whole semester, one group has to make the best clay pot possible. The second group has to make the most quantity of clay pots possible. And you want to know what group made the best clay pots? The ones that done the most quantity, because they found out what didn't work. They found out, if we add this much water, it'll fall apart. If we add this much clay, it'll break. And that's the exact same with everything. The more volume of something you do, your base level becomes higher. That's why, the birria tacos we do in the trailer, and that is version like 56 of them or something, because the more you do, you work out what works and what doesn't work, and then you remove the stuff that doesn't work and you try add more stuff that does work, and eventually you will get to the level where you want to be, and then from there you'll reset your expectations and go again. But that's the fun in life. You're always chasing the top of the mountain, and you should always, in my opinion, change your expectations to never actually get there, because the fun is in the climb. The fun is not being at the top of the mountain.
That's it. Yeah, man. And I suppose my insight on that too is like shifting expectation altogether, and more so it's like going to, I would call it reasonable accountability. So it's like you hold yourself accountable whilst also being reasonable that it's going to take a long time, and I love that, because it is, you can't, there's a guy, Jesse, I think it's Jesse Itzer, he's a long distance runner, right? And it ties in with what you're saying there, where, one of the reasons why people quit marathons is because it's too hard, right? And then his perspective is like, what the fuck did you expect? You know what I mean? It's like, what did you expect? It's like you're going into these things. It's the same thing with business. And I suppose this is tying back to as well, which is the importance of mastering the boring basics, right? Because everyone sees this grandiose and everyone wants like the publicity and everything that comes with it. But one of the things I had to constantly learn again and again and again, because I often say if I were to go back to, let's say, the 21-year-old who had the idea of brotherhood and told them how long it would take to just even get to the point I am now, that version of me probably would have went, oh, fuck that. Do you know what I mean? But the reality is now is it does take time. And I used to be so obsessed with, I wanted the big grandiose things without mastering the basics. It's a lesson that I constantly come back to. And I suppose that's such an important thing, especially with young people coming through, is with this day and age, and the progression of social media and AI as well is incredible, and it is going to assist us to accelerate. But there's certain laws of nature we cannot cheat by, right? And there's consistent laws in nature that great things take great time. And what's your perspective on that as well?
I think that people severely overestimate what they can do in a month and severely underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's what you're not planning to get rich quick. I could have made, 6 figures more a year by taking real quick cash that's been offered to me to put the food trailer in certain events or opportunities, but it would be aligning with something that I don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
And in my 10-year vision of where I want to take the Biddos brand and my own personal brand, that would only damage it. And I'm not building a company for a year, 2 years, 5 years. I'm building it for 10, 20, 50 years, however long I live. And it is severely important to stress the small stuff. I actually made a LinkedIn post about it. And it's the longer I go that I realize that the small stuff is the foundation. Yeah. And it's a very, very wide base that you need to have a very, very high peak.
Yes.
Because if you're looking at the overarching stuff and, branding and X, Y, and Z without having an unbelievable product, there's no point. Because if you can market people and get them down to we'll use a food trailer for example, but if your food's crap, they won't come back.
Yeah.
So getting the foundations down, getting your operating procedures, your standard operating procedures, ensuring that every time someone comes to you, whether it's a product or service that you're selling, that it's the exact same.
Yeah.
That's how you win.
Yeah.
And it really is just as simple as that. You have to sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Now every day I have a meeting with my team on WhatsApp about, our expectations for the day, what we're aiming to achieve, how we can go about achieving it. And then we reward them off the back of doing it. But without putting the focus and the emphasis and the vision there, it will never happen. And you'll be bound to fail. You should never, ever chase the short-term gain in replace of the long-term gain.
Yeah. So very true. And I even think back to, so you look at these ancient warrior cultures, let's say some of the most refined, let's say the samurai, right? What was so phenomenal about the samurai? Well, everything was, obviously, there's an aspect too, is like they were so integral that if they felt they dishonored themselves, they'd literally end their own life, right? And we're not promoting that. But everything was about refinement. It was about sweating the small stuff. It was like flow state was found in the systematic approach. And it's finding a system and repeating it over and over and over and over and over again. Again, it's like that, then that's mastery until you find the kinks. And that's even what, I'm doing even with this podcast. It's like, okay, there's a few kind of things that I just repeat again and again and again. And that's where the true mastery and the true gains come from. It's not by if it doesn't work one time, I need to make a massive change. It's like you don't truly know until you do a system 100 times over where the kinks are and if it needs to be adapted. But it's not like I go from changing it completely then again, which I think I know I've got caught up on, and I think a lot of people do, is like, when something doesn't work just once, it's like, I need to change it. It's like you haven't given it enough tries to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm going to let people in on a secret here about how I'm winning and how I plan to win going forward. And it's exactly that. It's the reps and repetition of the exact same stuff every single day. And I'm just going to give you a quick run through of what my day looks like here from Monday to Thursday. Anyway, I wake up, I eat breakfast, and my first 4 hours I spend making content. That's it. I set the timer and we work for 4 hours. And I went from, we've only started emphasizing the first 4 hours every single day the past like 6 weeks. And we went from, getting 400,000 views on Instagram and a couple of 100,000 on TikTok to, I checked this morning, I think we're on 900,000 Instagram views and, 500,000 on TikTok, all through organic social media content. I do that for 4 hours. I eat lunch. I go back to work. I keep working. I keep building out the e-com website and, changing menus. Then I go to the gym. Then I go to jiu-jitsu. And it's 9:15 at night. I come home. I eat dinner. I shower. And I work until I fall asleep. And that's it. But I love it. And if you want to win, like people message me, Adam, how do you get good in social media? How have you grown your business? How do you get this many views? How do you make X amount of money or whatever? And I was like, it's because I do the exact same thing all the time, without fail. If not, I'll do even more. And like, you can't do something for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks and expect to win, because that's not how long it takes. Like I get messages now as well about like, Adam, you're popping up all the time now, overnight success or whatever, Man, I've been doing this for 2 years. I remember like 4 or 5 weeks after opening on a Sunday, I was sitting in the food trailer and we served 3-4 customers on a Sunday for weeks. And like each time I opened the trailer, it cost me hundreds of euro. I was losing hundreds of euro every single Sunday. So whatever money I made on the Friday and Saturday would all be lost on the Sunday and then some. And I just knew that this is a part of the process. As we touched on earlier, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Like, I've had abs before, and the reason people want them is because it's hard. Everything that you want in life lays on the other side of hard. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth doing at all. Anyone can go out and pick up takeaway or get a Chinese or just lay on their couch, and it's easy and it won't fulfill you. But doing the stuff that's hard, as we touch on marathons, when you get over the finish line, it's enjoyable because of how hard it was.
Correct.
And the fact that you could overcome it. Me doing the videos and setting up a food trailer and getting to where we are today was the hardest thing I've ever done. But yet, I've loved my life more now than I ever have before. I wake up every single day. I look forward to work. I never done that in my job. I used to dread Mondays. I couldn't wait for 11 o'clock. Couldn't wait for lunch. I couldn't wait to go home. And now every single day, every single minute of my life, I love the hardship. I love the reward we get off the back end of it. But you have to love it. You have to be willing to put in the work. Otherwise, you'll never get to where you want to be.
Beautifully stated, my friend. Beautifully stated. And on that, because I suppose I look at the kind of psychological aspect, and it's being driven by something greater than yourself. And I firmly believe that's where true fulfillment comes from, is that we're not here just for ourselves, but we're here to serve. And, I remember Tony Robbins was talking about Jim Rohn saying the idea of you get paid for the amount of value you bring to the world. So say for someone who's struggling with that sense of purpose, if you were to map back your life, how would you say someone could find that drive? Because it's one thing, it's like you've been in environments where that drive hasn't been there, where you've dreaded, waking up and you've dreaded going to work. And it's like, yeah, I could still perform. But how would you say, and using your own example, that someone could find that sense of being pulled rather than pushing through their life?
It's a good question. My God, I've always had, ever since I turned 15, that relentless desire to chase something. But I'm going to say something a little bit against the probably normal answer here. I would open TikTok and all the, what's the best way to describe it? What do people call it? Mental masturbation, the Alex Ramoses and the motivation. And the exact way you feel after watching them videos, I would act on it, because there's so many people who just sit there and enjoy it and say, oh, we'll do it tomorrow and we'll tackle it tomorrow. I would just set one goal off the back of watching some of them videos and attack it with relentless persistency. And it can be small. Like, people are doing the challenge at the moment, posting a talking video every single day for 100 days. But do something like that and dedicate to the fact that you are going to do that no matter what. And it's going to build up that kind of winning complex. And whether you want to do it or not, you're going to do it. Same when I lost weight, we're going to do it. There is no other option. Same way now with the food trailer. There is only one option. I'm going to win. I'm going to get successful. You can't even think about alternative options. Like, I see people online now going on weight loss journeys or different things, and they're like, oh, we'll allow ourselves to slip up over time and everything. Get rid of that mindset. In my opinion, you just need to think you're going to win no matter what. And you need to think that you're going to achieve your goals. And through that purpose and whatever target you set out, you will find what you enjoy doing. Like, before I started doing videos, I didn't actually think I'd really enjoy posting social media. Now I love it. Through the purpose and through, whatever challenge you set out, you will find what you enjoy doing. Whether you say, oh, I want to have abs, you could fall in love with working out through that, and you can become a PT, or, you can say, I'm going to dedicate to learning stocks. You could become a stock trader. You just have to put your focus on something and be willing to see it through. It's the same with jiu-jitsu. See, when I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, oh man, I'm in so much pain. This is terrible. I'm being tapped out by 16-year-olds. I'm nearly 3 years in now. Still get tapped out by 16-year-olds. But I love it. You have to be willing to get over the hump of being that newbie and being afraid and not knowing everything, because you will never know everything. And just be consistent and relentless in the fact that you're striving to win. And you'll get further than anyone else ever will who isn't willing to put in the work.
And what would you say then, tying off the back of that, how has your relationship with yourself improved, and how do you go about, let's say, regulating your own mindset throughout the ups and the downs of business?
That's such a good question. Oh my God. Before, I used to struggle a lot more with regulating my emotions, is probably the way I put it. I would just flip, is probably a good way, over something. So in hindsight, like, obsolete or not important. Like, if a staff called in sick, I remember one day, if my friends watch this, I was ringing them, and one of them I just lost the plot on. And like, he's been my best friend my whole life, because he couldn't come in and work with me as if he doesn't have his own life. And I was at the very start, and I was like, man, no one else is living your own life. You're the only person in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you can't worry about having to rely on other people. And it also gives you relentless accountability, is probably the word for it, that your destiny is controlled by no one else, only you. I think there's a saying, like, every man has two lives. The one before he realizes he's the one in charge of his destiny, and the one after. And I realized that if I want to achieve something, the only person who's going to get me there is me. And that's really what made my mindset change. I used to complain that, the weather is the reason we're quiet today, or, the video didn't perform as well as what I wanted, or one of the staff called in sick, so it made it harder for me. But it all comes back to me. And it was like, all right, that was my poor planning. I should probably hire staff, more reliable. Or I shouldn't have my backup option as having to call on my friends. How about I upskill so I can do two people's work by myself?
So it was a lesson that was needed.
Oh, it's all these lessons, like, and the more you go through business and the trials and tribulations of it, the more you realize that in a year's time, none of the stuff will matter. Like I was getting stressed over, you know, when I left that other kitchen opportunity because it wasn't what I thought it was initially meant to be. And at the time, I was so stressed, and I realized that this won't matter in 6 months. And now we're 6 months down the line, and it doesn't matter. And it was just a learning experience. And now I'm able to stay in a far more stoic state and know that, you know, it's never as good or as bad as what you think it's initially going to be. And that's really helped ground me. And to know that no matter what you do, there's always going to be a good way out of it.
Yeah.
It's the way life is made out. Like,
I hear you. So like even when you're saying stoic, it's more so, is it more so the aspect of like you're focusing on what you can control and not what you can't?
Yeah, and even down to like you can't control the weather.
Yeah.
But that is, I'm just going to be like, everything's down to me. If you put all the accountability on yourself, you remove your excuses because it's up to you to win. And that just made my life so much easier. I'm not blaming any outside factors ever. Like, you know, the tire blew up on the trailer, which happened, and your man can't get out for an hour and a half. Oh, we're losing €500 in sales now because I'm not going to be there on time. It's not the mechanic's fault. It's my fault. I should have got the tire treads checked sooner. And being able to just be totally accountable to myself and know that anything that happens in my life is because of my doing. It gave me a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
Is probably what I'd say. Like, I will never blame anyone else for stuff that happens in my life, even if it's not always 100% my fault. If I take accountability for it, I know I'm just freer.
Yeah, and you can do something about it.
Yeah.
And I've got another good question, because I suppose I have my own answer with it. How do you go about being accountable for everything in your life without self-flagellating, if that means like beating yourself over the head? So being too harsh on yourself.
Yeah, you can. Sometimes it's good to reflect on how far you've come as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I beat myself up about, why are we not doing X amount in sales? I want to be here. Then I look back on where we were 12 months ago and be like, we're actually doing okay.
Yeah.
Or it's the same in jiu-jitsu. I was there yesterday, and there was one guy, and I had him in like 7 positions. I couldn't submit him, and I just couldn't. I couldn't submit him, and I could be there and beat myself up like, why are you so bad at jiu-jitsu? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why can you not do it? Then I look back at myself 12 months ago, and I wouldn't have even gotten one position to submit your man. Yeah. It's sometimes you have to reward yourself the fact that you can look back and actually see how far you've come. Or it's the same when it comes to like social media. Like, some days I'd get annoyed if I didn't get a video that has like minimum 10k views on one video across the day. And if I got one video a month with 10k views 6 months ago, I would have been delighted.
Yeah.
So it's okay to look back at where you came from, but still at the same time want to do better in what you're doing.
Correct. Man, and I feel this ties in so much. If I was to explain reasonable accountability, this was one of the biggest insights I learned in the psychotherapy world in Australia. So with expectation, right? So when there's expectation over self, it's usually been placed it's almost like this internal harsh figure. And there's nothing wrong with being, having high standards, but expectation is the mother of all disappointment, right? So this is great for any lads who are listening, or, women as well. So expectation, if I was to say the same thing, so expectation, let's say I do something, I go, oh, come on, for Christ's sake, why didn't I do better, right? With reasonable accountability, it's, come on, we got this, right? So one's like a supportive, and then one's a harsh, like criticism, right? So the difference is so reasonable accountability. So being reasonable is knowing that in every moment of my life and in every moment, I am doing the best that I can with the level of awareness and tools that I have, right? So I start to become reasonable to myself. I'm not a fucking god. I'm not immortal. I am a mere mortal. I am human. So it's completely unreasonable to say I'm going to be 110% every single day. It's also unreasonable to say I'm going to be down in the dumps every single day. Right? So I start to become more reasonable with my humanity, right? But then I'm accountable. So with accountable, it's like I love myself too much to allow myself to repeat a pattern 2 or 3 times. So to allow myself to keep eating fast food, right? It's like I love myself too much. I value myself too much. But also the accountable side is almost like this father figure that just goes, okay, is this the result we want? okay, what are the actions we need to do to get the result? If we're not doing the actions, just do the fucking actions. I'm not being harsh on myself. It's just I'm being honest, going, okay, if I'm not doing the actions, how can I get the result? Right? So then it's just like I just need to do the actions over and over again, and eventually I'll get the result. There's no emotional charge to that. It's just the reality of the situation. Right? So that's kind of my perspective on that, where it's like I'm being honest with myself, but I'm not berating myself. Because, and I think that ties in very much what you're saying with the idea of, the best way to have undeniable, stackable proof that you are who you say you are, which is true self-respect, which I say is like what dudes are after, because more so than self-love, it's like, well, how do we love ourselves? We do it by respecting ourselves. And you can only do that by proving to yourself that you can do something over and over again. And the way to that is by stacking the small wins, as you so rightly said. It's like, for me, man, 10,000 views right now is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? So that's it. It's how can you bring in that appreciation whilst also being pulled towards something greater? Yeah.
No, you do. You really just, what's the best way to put it? Set your expectations. I always like to aim for the moon, and if I land on the stars, I'm happy enough. Like there is figures in my mind that I have that I want to hit in the next year, without doubt, and they're multiples of what I was doing the previous year. Yeah. But I feel that you have to set your expectations far away, work relentlessly to get there, but also, as you touched on, be realistic and be happy to land on the stars in pursuit of it. But I just feel that there is too many people out there, who will watch them kind of mental masturbation videos, who won't go after stuff and potentially will say things are scams. Like I've spent, 5 figures on different mentorships and everything about, how to become and how to upskill your abilities and everything. And there'll be people who will go through the course content for 2 weeks and be like, oh, it's too hard. This course is a scam. They make it easier. Nothing is easy. Nothing in life. I think I mentioned this 3 times but it's true. Nothing in life that's good is easy, and it is as simple as that. Like you have to be willing to put in the work and be realistic that it takes time. It will take far longer than what you think. It'll be far harder than what you think it's going to be, but that's what makes it worth it.
But the feeling will be far better, isn't it?
I'll never forget, like after I lost all the weight, I was like, when I was younger, I look unbelievable, and it was like that endorphins that it gives you. It was something I've never been able to have before. When I sold the box logo hoodie, the endorphins I got, or when we sold out for the first day in the food trailer, or the first day I started seeing abs come true. And when for example, when I saw, abs come true or whatever the case is, I was eating the same meals every day. I was doing an hour of cardio every single day. So hard, not necessarily something I enjoyed the whole time, but it's that whole thought of delayed gratification. You're putting in the work today and potentially the suffering, doing them pulling motions for the results that you want. And sometimes you just have to pull as well. There is no choice but to put in the work to get to where you want to be, because you will not get where you want to be without the work. Like I know you mentioned earlier, not every day you're going to be 110% to do the work at max capacity thing, but you're going to damn well try your best to be there. And that to me, like not every day I'm going to wake up and be at 110%, but I'm going to make sure I'm close to it. Like we've done the markets out in Aldbridge and everything, and I'll operate on 3-4 hours sleep because of how long the food prep takes. But that's what it takes to get to where I want to be. So I'm going to make it happen. Like there's been meetings I've meant to have, and I was doing the food prep the night before, or I was on live calls with guys in America or whatever, and mentorship and different meetings, and I've lost sleep because of it. And other people might cancel the meeting or reschedule. I will be there, because that's what's going to separate me from the rest of the pack. Like your competition is, what's the best way to put it? If you're not where your competition is, they're probably doing multiple times more work than you. So you have to do multiple times more work than them. Like, if your competitor, will just say, is putting out 3 videos a day and you're posting 1, and you think you're better than them or you want to be better than them, you're going to have to do 10 times work. Like I went from doing 1 video every single day across Instagram, TikTok and Facebook to now recently we've scaled to about 6 to 8 videos every single day across Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I'm now on board in a social media team that we're going to scale to 14 pieces of content across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. We'll throw it along, because that is the volume I'm going to have to do to get to where I want to be. And it's just as simple as that. Like people have to think, bigger. And yeah, if you think bigger, you will get closer to where you want to be. Without rambling on too much.
No, I hear you, man. And I think like the biggest thing with that, as we were saying, is it always comes back to, it's like, you know, what is your vision of where you want to go, you know, and what is your kind of ideal life? One of the best things I've ever heard is like, what is your rich? And what does that mean for you? You know, like for some people, it actually is just living a regular job and building a family. And that's part of the character they're here to play. You know, it's like what makes you so unique is, and I spoke about this with Jamie as well, as understanding it's like, okay, there's different characters and different characters have different strengths. And then, you know, instead of weaknesses, I like to say it's like where they need support. So that's where other people come in to support you. You know what I mean? But the value is like if you can leverage and understand, it's like, what are you truly after and what needs to be done to get there? Like, that's exactly what you're saying as well. And it's like, to get to where you want to go, like for you, the amount of volume that it takes normally, like with anything, right? But it depends on what are you willing to sacrifice, because there will be sacrifices. And for you, it's that joy comes out of the pure determination and the just the journey of becoming. And you know what I'm seeing as well is your documentation. It's the journey of becoming, and being the example of what you wish to see in the world, which I think is crucial. It's like you know, we can all point the fingers and say what's wrong with the world, but it's like, okay, what are you bringing into the world? What's the example you wish to see?
Well, that's exactly case in point. Like what I'm trying to do with my life is be inspiration for the younger generations before me. Now, of course, you and me are both still young. So mission number one is to become financially free, you know, location free. We can go wherever we feel like we need to be happy in the work I'm doing, which, as I touched on already, this work, even though it's hard, is so fulfilling for me, and I enjoy it every single day. And I can't wait to wake up in the morning. I hate going to sleep at night because I'm looking forward to working again. But back on the point of, you know, being able to inspire other people, because as I said, I was a 23-year-old white Irish guy trying to sell Mexican food to the broader public with no culinary experience. If I am able to build a successful business selling food off the back of that, anyone is able to achieve something that they have a passion in. And that's why I've been so persistent and relentless on the fact that I'm going to document the whole journey from nothing to something to everything, as they say. But yeah, like I was 30 grand in debt after buying a food trailer and having to, you know, buy a new van to pull the trailer, because I thought I could pull the trailer on a Ford Fiesta, and I found out in 5 days that you could not.
There you go.
But when your back's up against the wall like that and you have a mission, you will make it happen.
Oh, yeah, you burnt the boats.
The boats have been burnt, and I actually have a tattoo on my leg, and it says, "He who dares wins," from Only Fools and Horses. And you have to dare. You have to be willing to put in the work. And I want to show other people. Like I go and do so many talks and everything about how social media can change your life, and social media can absolutely change your life. In a little over 2 years, we went from, you know, working an everyday job earning 30 grand a year to owning a 6-figure business. I've catered for 2 of the 3 richest people in Ireland. We've done corporate catering events in nearly every county in the country. I'm on the billboard campaign for DKIT. I've given 30 plus keynote presentations about how social media can change your life. I've done about 40 one-to-one workshops with business owners about how they can use social media to change their business and change their personal brand and eventually change their life. We're now releasing this new seasoning brand that's going to bring restaurant quality meals to the comfort of people's own homes at a fraction of the price. And I'm going to document the whole thing to show every single person, man, woman or child out there, that they're able to do the exact same thing as me. And it doesn't matter the age. Like, I done a video there the other day talking about my dad. My dad is a very, very famous hairdresser, travelled all around the world, done shows in the Royal Albert Hall, in Milan, X, Y, and Z, cutting hairs. And at the age of 50, he decided to start posting videos on social media about, you know, the haircuts he done. And now he has over 100,000 followers. Like,
brilliant.
What other 50-year-old man is going to go out there and do, you know, even just start posting on social media? And he's always went against the curve, and it's why I like to probably do the same. Like, he was 16, dropped out of school to pursue hairdressing, and predominantly it's female hairdressing that he does for, you know, a straight Irish guy in the, I don't know, you know, the 1980s. That's so peculiar. But if you have a passion, you have to block out the outside noise.
Yeah.
And relentlessly chase it. And he's been able to, put my family in a position where we've been very comfortable our whole life. So I was able to, go to a private school, get a great education, never have to worry about anything. And now I want to be able to have the next version of that for my family after, and show everyone else who, mightn't have grown up in the same situation as me, or might have even grown up in a better situation, that they can do it just by being willing to put in the work. And that's what gets me going. Like in the next year, 2 years, I'll probably set up like a course and different things to show people exactly my blueprint and how I've done it, and help people avoid the thousands and thousands and thousands of euros of mistakes I've made along the way. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. Like,
yeah, and it's alchemizing your pain into purpose, which is I believe the true meaning of everything. The hardships in our life aren't a condemnation from reality. They are its way of believing in you. And when you can alchemize that pain into purpose, those gifts then shine through, because you realize it was about more than you anyway. You went through those trials and tribulations to find the solutions, so therefore you could give them to others. So man, I love it. And on that final note then, how important have people been along the way in support?
The most important thing ever. Yeah. Without the people watching this, without the people who see the social media, without the people who come down the food trailer, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. I wouldn't have a business. I'd be working a job. It all comes back to the people who follow along the journey, believe in me, and want to see my dreams come to fruition. Yeah. Now, of course, when we do get them in the door, we have to make sure they have a stellar experience. The food's unbelievable.
Correct.
And they'll go and rave about it to their friends. But without the general public, not that I'd be nothing, but the fact that like just the business wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's why we've kind of documented the journey from the start. I wanted people to see my good, my bad, the ugly, the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, and they're the most important people. Because even like we were in the Irish Independent the other day, and I think that was our fourth time between the Drogheda Independent and the Irish Independent, and it's because someone's seen the videos, someone from the general public, and sent it on to someone who was in the Irish Independent. They watched it, they enjoyed the story, and then they want to be a part of it and write the articles. The same way I graduated DKIT with the lowest passing grade possible, a 2-2, by the skin of my teeth. Had dyspraxia, had to type my leaving cert and everything. 18 months later, I was on the Billboard campaign. I'm on the Billboard campaign. You open the business prospectus for DKIT, you'll see my face on it. If I can come from getting the lowest passing grade possible to 18 months being on the face of it, anyone can do nearly anything they set their mind to, just by being that relentlessly persistent. Relentlessly persistent is probably going to be the title of this, but that's to me what it all boils down to. And yeah, I just have so much gratitude for the people who buy into my journey, because without them, none of this would be possible. And that's why we do the different events in Drogheda, and sooner it'll be the different events in Loud, and then hopefully in Ireland, as we continue to expand the vision I have for this company, because I want to give back to the people who've given so much to me.
I hear you, man, because one of the greatest insights I ever had, and beautifully said, is, so I talk about Excalibur being your soul's potential, right? So on the Brotherhood weekends, usually in Australia, I had William Wallace's sword right in the ground, and the lads can't touch it until the last day, because you have to earn that right to wield your Excalibur, because before King Arthur could wield Excalibur, he had to become man worthy of wielding Excalibur. So life gave him all the trials and tribulations to forge him into the motherfucker who could wield that, because with great power comes great responsibility, right? So it's like, as you said, it's far more enjoyable because it's hard. But the deepest insight I had is the beauty of wielding Excalibur was realize it was in handing it over all along. So it's in the people and in the service and in the impact. And for me, even my Brotherhood, it's being able to facilitate these sort of conversations and create a community of people, and you see that impact. And it's exactly what you're saying, is I firmly don't believe any person's self-made, because we're standing on the shoulders of giants, always. So man, I love it. And for those people who are watching, who we are eternally grateful for, where can those people find you?
Follow Biddos Street Food on social media. You're going to extremely regret that decision because, as I said, I post so much.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to see me live in the flesh, come down to Biddos Street Food, our food trailer located in Sarsfield's Bar in Drogheda every single Friday to Sunday. And please God, with the release of Project X, you're going to see Biddos Street Food stocked in many, many, many major retailers across Ireland. And also, we're going to be available on e-commerce as well. So I'll be sending the links to all the viewers who watched this video. But yeah, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure for having me on. I just want to touch on, like, if there wasn't people like you out there, the people like Jamie and the people like Sean who've been on this podcast before, who've built such a great community of young entrepreneurs, none of us would be as far as where we are today. So I just want to extend the gratitude for making something like this.
My bro, thank you, man. I appreciate having you on.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. And that's it. Like, that's what this is about. You know, the same as you, is creating community, because like that's the reality, is like people with our mindset, it can be lonely, you know, and that's for me is the importance of recognizing everyone can like project us an ideal sort of grandiose, but realizing it's like sometimes we can feel, because not everyone understands the mindset, and you can be like, is there anyone else like me out there? And it's like, yeah, there is, which then brings a sense of ease, because it's the pressure and the kind of sense of responsibility that people take on, but realizing that it can be shared, you know, which is awesome.
And there is a lot of people out there as well who have went through struggles that you're currently facing previously.
Yeah.
That's why, as I touched on it, you know, I invested in mentorships and everything, because I prefer to pay for the expertise of someone else who's facing struggles that I'm currently facing, to alleviate them and do it in the best possible way. It's the same. Me and Jamie must be on the phone, you know, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
But it's because we're going through the same journey together. Now, we might face different struggles along the way, but we'll both have inputs on how we can help each other. And the fact that there is a brotherhood between us that we can bounce ideas off. And like Jamie was giving me ideas for different things he wanted to do. And I had to be brutally honest with him and say, Jamie, this can be good, but I think this might be better.
Yeah,
and having someone that you can reflect on and will do the same for you is how you build something serious.
Man, I love it. Because to finish on the final, the one I love, I don't know if you've ever seen Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino. Oh, it's a great motivational scene. Myself and my best mate Jordan, when we were running a marathon in Gold Coast a couple of years ago, we were all shitting ourselves the night before we were on Holly Park. We were running like 42 kilometers tomorrow. What are we going to do? But then we chucked on this scene and he talks about, he's like, football, it's NFL, it's halftime. He's like, life's this game of inches. He's like, you got to look at the guy next to you, look into his eyes, and realize that's a guy that's going to go that inch for you, and you'll do the same for him. And it's the idea of true brotherhood, is that essence of, and I think men thrive off of it, is realizing there's other men that they can trust, and that dude has my back, and I have his. And like, you'd be willing to die for them. And that's what the best teams have been formed on. But it's like, when you can find that in life, like, I just feel like it just surpasses anything.
Well, a good version of that actually is the fact that, like, my dad runs marathons and he's looking to do ultra marathons. And I told him for my 25th birthday, I'd run a half marathon with him. Now, not in a race, but just on the day.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, out the night before, very rare occasion, celebrating my birthday, and I got up the next morning, probably had 3 hours sleep, and the most I ever ran before that was, I think it was 10 kilometers or whatever the case was, and I had to run 21.2.
Brilliant.
And it was the fact that my dad was there, and the fact that I had someone else to go that inch for me, and someone else that, you know, I don't think I'd let him down, but, you know, if I'm a man of my word, I'm going to tell him we're going to do it together.
He held you accountable.
And he held me accountable the whole way through. And I know for a fact, if I had done that by myself, I probably wouldn't have went, you know, maybe 6-7 kilometers.
Because you're borrowing his belief, because you couldn't see yourself doing it before. And
it was exactly that. Like, he was able to get that extra inch out of me, and that's why it is important to surround yourself with the like-minded people, because as we touched on, it is a lonely journey to the top if you think you're doing it by yourself. You know, that's why wolves hunt in packs and not as individual predators, because you're stronger together. Like, I might be great at social media and marketing and that side of thing, but when it came to operating procedures and, you know, how to ensure that stuff's the exact same every day, it was out of my wheelhouse. So then I worked with a different mentor on how we can build out these operating procedures to make sure that we're not a one-trick pony, that we have a complete guide. And that's not only in business as well, that's a life. You know, you want to be able to collaborate and work with and become friends with other people who want to pursue the same journey as you and have different strengths and different weaknesses, and together you will share ideas and thoughts and become better as a unit. And you're going to go the extra mile then.
Yeah.
100%.
Fucking amen. Let's go. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Else we'll go continue going for another hour or two. But awesome. Hope you enjoyed. As Adam said, follow away and his stuff there. And if you have interest in joining any of the Brotherhood spaces, I've got the links below. Reach out. We'd love to have you. As I always like to say, the mission beckons, the mission calls. Let's fucking go.